Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The focus in this half hour is going to be on the surge on airfares and how the common man continues to suffer due to the arbitrary and unjustifiable price surge, while this continues to be massive, in fact, concern for the consumers. And it comes in midst of massive delays, diversions in flights day in, day out, leaving consumers in the lurch. Now, even today, the ticket prices, the price surge for a SpiceJet flight from Delhi to Mumbai is 29,301 rupees. Indigo is charging 23,332 for the same route. Akasa is 19,664, and all these are no-frills, low-cost airlines. Meanwhile, Air India will cost you about 23,830 rupees if you are flying from Delhi to Mumbai. Now, just sample some more. In fact, Delhi to Bengaluru circuit, where the flight Indigo is about 14,983, Air India 16,383, and Akasa is about 18,427. So all upwards of 15,000 rupees, 14 to 15,000 rupees. In Kolkata, if you're flying from Delhi, you may have to shell more than 20,000 rupees. Indigo is charging about 19,813 rupees, and Air India 26,292 rupees. These are unexplained and unjustifiable charges, spot charges, in fact, as most airlines would say. But what is the rationale that these charges, in fact, are so high? Do the airlines have any justification for this? Because fine, I mean, there is a surge charge when you are booking last minute, and if normally if you book in this sector, let's say about a week before you travel, it's about 5,000 to 6,000 rupees. So how many times? Most aircraft, it's 3 to 5 times higher, if you're booking on the same day of traveling. But what explains these high fares? Are airlines taking flyers for a ride? Let's just try and understand that. We would also, appreciate your calls if you want to share your experience, if you want to speak to us, you have some query, you can call on the number which is flashing on your screens at this moment, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll take your call and we'll try and understand your concerns. So, and hopefully there would be people, those who would be listening to this, and some, in fact, changes can be made. Let's also get in at this moment Mr. Sanjay Lazar, aviation expert, CEO of AVL's Consultants. Thank you so much, Mr. Lazar, for speaking to us on NDTV again. I want to understand by you, sir, what makes the spot surge, so expensive, at least between 3 to 5 times higher than a normal price in any sector. What's the rationale behind that?
Thank you for having me on your show. Let me just explain the structure as it is today of fares. We have what is known as revenue management. Now, each airline, first of all, let's go back and understand that fare pricing control has gone. The government scrapped it long ago. The DGCA used to be the fare controller, so to speak. So before every schedule, airlines would cough up their schedules with the fares to the DGCA, to the government, and get approval, and then operate the flights based on those fares. So there was literally almost like a slab fare. There was no dynamic pricing. Deregulation came in, fares got scrapped, and now it's dynamic pricing. So typically what you see maybe in the US or the UK or in Europe, where you have an aircraft of 120, 160, 180 seats, initially when an airline releases seats into the market, they're the lowest bucket fares that start getting picked. So you'd get the 3,000, the 5,000 rupee fares. As the aircraft fills up beyond 50%, and then you'd have the higher buckets, it keeps going down. So what you're looking at currently are the last minute spot fare increases. That being said, let me tell you, they are ridiculous. They're extremely high. And unfortunately in our system, currently we do not have any legislation that can control it unless the government can step in and bring in some rules. Merely the minister saying, or the DGCA saying something to an airline, control your fares, is very ineffective, because there is no legal mechanism that you can tie him down to a fare with. Now, I was earlier on your program and I spoke about, during COVID, when passengers complained that fares were going, unchecked and rampant. They were going twice and thrice and 5 times the price. Government stepped in. The cabinet came out and came out with a disaster management program. They gave powers and authority to the DGCA and the ministry to cap fares. Fares were capped. So in a similar manner, you will have to bring about some ruling. Now let's understand, is the airline really making money fleecing you with 10 seats or 5 seats on an aircraft? Now these fares, I'm sure if you made 50 people book them, you wouldn't get 50 seats at the 20,000 fare that you're talking about. It's probably just 5 or 6 seats, and they unfortunately are becoming the norm and the stick to beat somebody with, an airline. That being said, you look at people who have tragedies in their family or need urgent last minute travel. They unfortunately will fall in this premium bucket, the highest level of fares. We need to find some way to a middle ground. And the
You're
first
right.
middle ground,
So what I understand from what you are saying is that A, the government has nothing to do with it. So expecting the DGCA or the government to take any action would not be wise, because at this moment it's a free market economy and the airlines will decide as and well they want to. But one, like you said, I mean, these are ridiculously high fares as well. But please, we are giving examples of people last minute travel, emergencies. These are 3 to 4 seats, 5 seats at the max. But the aircraft, we are presuming, is already completely booked. Then what sense does it make to charge such high prices? You already have a full flight, and the cost of operation of that flight possibly would have already been taken care of with the sale of those tickets. Why should the last 5 people be paying at least 4 to 5 times extra than the person sitting next to him?
I'll just address both your points.
Yeah.
One is there any point for the government or the DGCA? Yes, there is a point. The government and the DGCA can step in. And the first thing I'd like to tell the government is drop your taxes. 40 to 50% of your fare is taxes. That's one. Number two, the government could find a via media to reintroduce maybe a maximum cap level. Though you don't go and tell Reliance or Pepsi Cola that you can't make, 200 crores profit this year, what in effect the passengers and the consumers in the market are now trying to tell the airlines that you can't make so much of profit, or you can't charge me so much for a product. I'm just giving you a really silly analogy. Look at Coldplay. Coldplay tickets were sold out in 10, 20 seconds, 60 seconds. They're retailing a 3,000 rupee ticket is now going at 1.5 lakhs. What do people do? They start screaming. Can anybody do anything? No. You can file a case. Coming to the second point, airlines typically sell almost half the aircraft at below par
Difference between
prices.
Coldplay and an airline. I mean, Coldplay is not a necessity. Traveling is, and sometimes people they are hoping and
Very
expecting.
important.
They are hoping and expecting that more and more people we are hoping would be able to join in the aviation sector. I just want to come back to you, but we have a caller here at this moment. Mr. Leonard is calling us from Mumbai. Thank you and good evening, Leonard, for calling us here on NDTV. Please go ahead with your concern.
Yeah, my concern is as the artificial intelligence is growing and the revenue management is growing, everybody knows what are the holidays. Everybody knows what is rainy season. Everybody knows what is winters. So there is nothing new. The rates are already fixed in the entire year. So I do not see why fog fares are increased, because if you check even today your data for the next 2025, the rates are already on a higher scale. I do study on this. Then coming back, again, the passengers who are traveling, there is something called as UDF charge on the tickets. Are the airports giving that UDF back to the passengers, or are the facilities given to the passengers? Now, this has to be decided either by Ministry of Civil Aviation, either DGCA, or the ERA Council. Now, these things are not being looked into. We are looking at the fares. I do agree the airlines spend the money, but when they spend, they also give it in returns to the airport operators as well as to the government. So we need to see a win-win situation and then look at ticket faring and go ahead. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Leonard, for calling in and sharing your views. Important points you made there. We also have Dr. Ram, who's calling us from Bengaluru. Sir, go ahead. Do you also feel the pinch of high airfares? All right, we'll go back to Dr. Ram. But Mr. Lazar, like you heard Leonard also speaking about, he's saying that, it's just not about the spot fare. If you look at the airfares suddenly, especially on long weekends and, even in 2025, 2-3 months from now, the prices are high. What I'm trying to understand from you, yes, airlines are supposed to make profit, they will. Is there, because, there is the number of airlines, the number of players in the market largely are decreasing. Jet is gone, Air Vistara and Air India have come together. Is there some sort of an impact, where people feel that possibly some sort of monopoly is happening at this moment? Go Air is in dire straits, Spice is also in dire straits. Is that also a concern?
Go Air is shut down.
Yeah.
Jet Air, Akasa, Jet is also shut down.
Yeah.
We're left with Akasa and Spice Jet on one side and the duopoly of Indigo and Air India on the other side. Now, naturally, in a market that is stifled with capacity, you're going to have a automatically high dynamic fare. Mr. Leonard was very right on the UDF also, and I thank him for pointing it out. Excellent point that he made. The passenger pays almost 10 to 15% of his fare as UDF. Is the airport providing him what they're paying for?
Absolutely. Sorry, I'm interrupting you. Just hold on to that thought, sir. Dr. Ram is, with us on the phone line from Bengaluru. Before he, we lose that line. Dr. Ram, thank you for speaking to us here on NDTV. We're discussing the high airfares, sir. Do you also believe that the kind of facilities that you get on the airport, on the aircraft, is that, in comparison, okay with the kind of money that we shell out for the services?
No, that is the reason I called. Hello?
Sir, go ahead.
Yeah. The reason I called is because then other problem is I'm a frequent traveler, and I went to Vizag, and that day on an official this one, and we finished the work, and I had to come back, and the flight got cancelled. And the moment flight got cancelled, we asked for what is the next connecting thing. They said we cannot give you anything till next day. And as a doctor, I have to come back and do my work. And same day ticket was about 4 times higher in another airline, which is after about 4 hours. And when we requested them, can you change it to the next flight of another airline? They said, no, we can give ticket only for our own this one, for which you have to wait for next day. And I had to pay 3 times, instead of about 6,000 and odd, I paid about 15,000 and pick up a next same day ticket after 4 hours, which is one way of, really, putting the people back, which was not the practice earlier. Earlier, whenever the airline is cancelling,
right,
they used to even try and get the ticket even in a parallel airline.
Thank you, sir, for joining us. And, it's a very, very important thing that you have also pointed out at this moment. Rajesh is also calling us from the national capital. Rajesh, go ahead.
Yeah, hi. So my point is, I think the government should pitch in. And while one side, our Prime Minister says that those who are wearing Hawaii chappals, the thing, what his goal is that all those countrymen should travel in the airlines. With this kind of a fare, do you think it's the right thing, what Prime Minister is saying and what is happening actually with the airlines fare, the kind of fares which have been risen? I think most of us want to travel, and I think it's a need of an hour. But beyond a point, if this kind of a fare continues, I think we should take collaterally action that we should now travel by trains. I think the quality of train travel is much more better now, rather than going with the air freight, which is so high. So I think we should think twice before going ahead.
Thank you, Rajesh, for joining us. I can understand the anger and the frustration that you have. Certain trains, of course, are doing very well, but yes, there are a lot of complaints with the train travel as well. Overall, the air, market in this country, the aviation market needs to do better. We also will go across to another caller who's joining us from National Capital in a short while. Mr. Lazar, you were making a point that there is also this pinch that a lot of people feel, where they feel that, it's just not about the high prices that they are being forced to cough up, but in comparison, the services, whether it's delays, diversions, cancellations, airline don't step up their act when it comes to services, but when it comes to charging high fare, it's always on the go with the airlines.
If I could just answer Dr. Ram, who called and made a very important point of his flight, being cancelled in Vizag and him having to come back. This is another factor that he raised. The passenger charter in India is the weakest, poorest form of document. We can tear it up and throw it away. I think the government should, and the government has powers there, the government should step in and make a stronger passengers charter so that passengers like Dr. Ram, currently, if a flight is delayed or cancelled and you're giving the passenger a flight after 24 hours, there is a compensation that you pay him, or you give hotel accommodation, you give meals, plus you give up to 20,000 rupees, for that air ticket. But in case it's like Dr. Ram who wants to go instantly, then the government should make it possible that airline A books you on airline B, or airline A books you on its next flight on the very same day. So that's something that we need to address. The government needs to look at the passenger charter. So I've already said taxes and the passenger charter.
Okay.
To talk about what Mr. Rajesh said.
Hold on, sir. There is one more caller, sir. I'm just coming back to you. Lokma is calling us from New Delhi. Lokma, please go ahead.
Yeah, we are frequent flight. We are travelers, sir. Sir, I want to tell you that some 6 years back from Delhi to Bangalore, we were giving 2,000 to 3,000 that airfare, sir.
Right.
Hello?
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Yeah. See, now why it is increased so much, twofold, threefold? We cannot say 20,000 it takes to and fro that airfare from Bangalore to Delhi, sir. And also, one more thing I want to tell you. In flights also, when we enter, we board the flight, we will see one bathroom is not working. And all facilities and those, small screen that will be there, no, they are not working.
Yes.
And after taking so much money, and 6 years back, why so we were getting that low price? Now why it is suddenly within 6 years it is increased so much?
Okay.
And they are increasing the flight number, everything. But for these passengers, what they are doing, sir?
Absolutely.
It is very, very unfortunate for these
Right.
for the passengers, sir.
Ma'am, you're very right. Thank you for sharing your views on your trusted channel. Thank you so much for talking to us. Thank you, Mr. Lazar, for speaking to us a lot. You gave us a lot of insights on how this works and what possibly can, in fact, be done to correct this. But that's the pinch, ladies and gentlemen. You heard a lot of these callers. Those are saying, even if you're paying higher money, you would expect better services. The passenger charter in this country needs to do better. There needs to be much more, rights of the passengers, and all that needs to be exerted by the government and the airlines as well. It's a very big country. The aviation sector can spread its wings. They have to, in fact, try and include more people. Them with higher prices exclude many. Thank you so much for joining in.